In this video, we will have a chance to go over potential interpretations of Boyd's musical sign and predictions for the upcoming episode number 6 of From. The Boat. Jumping straight into the analysis, we already know that Sheriff Boyd Stevens was seen holding a voting key during episode number 2 of From. We also know that Boyd was responsible for identifying the runic talismans that now protect the town. Additionally, we know that the show seems to be heavily infused with symbology from Norse mythology, particularly symbology associated with the Norse god Freyr and his sister, the goddess Freya. However, we also know that Norse mythology is only one of many sources of inspiration for this show, which is also science fiction oriented. Assuming that the creators of the show continue the current pattern of consistency behind Freyr's mythology, it wouldn't be a surprise if the boat sign Boyd received is an allusion to Freyr's legendary ship Skipbladnir. In Norse mythology, Skipbladnir is a magic boat with the ability to take its passengers wherever they need to go. Additionally, Skipbladnir is said to be able to be folded up in a way that it can fit into a pocket when not needed, maybe even like Boyd's keychain. An alternative interpretation is that Boyd's key and the boat may be a metaphor for some other means of transportation that Boyd can access to possibly escape the town, but also not necessarily to go home. Even if it is the trees that end up acting as the ultimate gateways for escaping the town, it is possible that a separate device or item is needed in order to more reliably navigate through the faraway trees. Also, the current shots of the show have been very meticulously taken so that wider aspects of the town's geography are not revealed before the right time. Considering that most of the show was shot in Halifax, Nova Scotia, it is possible we may eventually see coast beyond the forest. A weapon that can kill anything. Just like with the boat, another powerful item that is mentioned in Norse mythology is Freyr's sword, a weapon so powerful that can fight on its own. We can see the symbology of Freyr's sword in Elis's necklace. Even if it is not necessarily in the form of a sword, it may be likely that we will see the characters of the show, likely Boyd, uncovering a weapon that might help them fight the monsters. In Norse mythology, the god Freyr gave up his magic sword in exchange for marrying his wife Gerd. This is one of the reasons that supposedly fated Freyr to die during Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse mythology, where without his sword, Freyr is overpowered and killed. There may be symbological allusions to Ragnarok throughout the show, one of them being the symbology of the giant serpent of Midgard, which we see in Elis's paintings. In Norse mythology, there is a giant serpent that wraps around the world and will be Thor's nemesis during Ragnarok. The mythology of the giant serpent of Midgard is also behind the symbology of the Ouroboros, or the snake that bites its own tail, which again symbolizes the circle of life, and this seems to be a very key theme of the show. Then again, the heavy symbology of the show makes one think that whatever the criteria for the people of the town being somehow chosen, the people in the town may be part of a game or battle that is much bigger than them, and one that involves other entities or even gods. A curious observation of Elis's painting is how it may also serve as an allusion to the Garden of Eden, with the serpent symbolizing the temptation of sin and Adam and Eve at the center of everything. This is interesting given that the monsters have an almost supernatural ability to tempt and persuade people to do things that go against their interests, and it could be that the monsters are actually a representation of the snake, or the other way around. In the mythology of Ragnarok, two humans are said to survive the end of the world by hiding inside the world tree Yggdrasil, which connects the 9 realms, before the great battle of the gods begins. The two humans will then repopulate the world as a new cycle begins. We could see how this may parallel the inclusion of the faraway trees in the show, and how these trees, which could be extensions of Yggdrasil, may also be the key to everyone's survival in the town. All of these also heavily implicates the possibility that a character such as Loki, the trickster and the betrayer of the gods, may be a player behind the scenes. And something to take into consideration is that in Norse mythology, Loki is also the father of Hel, or the goddess of death, as well as the giant serpent of Midgard. It is then possible that what is happening in the town is the result of a disarray or crisis that is taking place across realms or dimensions. If the word Loki is giving you a slight Marvel flashback, I think it will be good to know that the Russo brothers, who have worked prominently behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe, are also working on this show. And all of this just adds more weight to the one-of-a-kind show we're watching. Episode number 6 predictions, the Portal Zones. Going over the available previews for episode number 6, we see that Jade will enlist Jim's help for an experiment, and Tabitha will make a discovery that will lead her down a rabbit hole in search of answers. In one of the preview shots for the upcoming episode, we see Jim helping Jade get up as Jade seems to have fallen on the forest. We can see that Jade seems to be in shock, and there's a broken tree behind both of them. This could indicate that Jade's experiment could be related to the mysterious cellar, or that Jade had another one of his visions. From previous episodes, we can see in Victor's drawings that he has labeled different zones across the town that could be interconnected or maybe acting as portals of some kind. We see that the diner is one of these mysterious zones and the cellar is another one of them. The drawings also show markings across the forest that could indicate that certain faraway trees are connected to some of these different zones. If there are certain areas of the town that act as portals of some kind, it could also be possible that items such as the jukebox or the radio need to be in these specific zones in order to work. And maybe even that their function may change depending on which zone they are placed on. In the upcoming episode number 6, we will also see Sheriff Boyd Stevens going into the forest in search of answers after he received the sign about the boat. The episode synopsis also says that Kenny will have an initial reaction to Boyd's decision to go into the forest. Now, that last line about Kenny is very interesting. It may imply that Kenny may be aware of more information about the town and the forest than we previously thought of. Based on previous interactions that Kenny has had with Boyd, it seems apparent that Kenny sees Boyd as a father figure, also noting Kenny's dysfunctional relationship with his now deceased father. Another parallel between Kenny's father and Boyd is how Kenny may have begun to notice indications of Boyd's potential neurodegenerative condition, which Kenny could even see as a painful replay or cycling of what he went through with his father's dementia. With the latter in mind, if Kenny is aware of any potentially worrisome secrets of the forest, it is likely he may try to protect Boyd and the rest of the town from it. Whatever information it may be that Kenny is withholding, it wouldn't be a surprise if it is connected to Kenny's chopping of the tree at the end of episode number 2, which he argued was to create more wooden chess pieces to presumably remember his father. We will continue exploring and decoding the symbology of the show before episode number 6 of From airs next Sunday. If you would like to stay tuned with further analysis and interpretations of the show's episodes, please make sure to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell.